Hello, and welcome to our talk show where we're going to talk about what forever chemicals are and if they are safe. First of all, what are forever chemicals? They are also scientifically known as PFAS or polyfluoroalkyl substances. Nobody knows how to pronounce it. Also known as forever chemicals. They are prevalent in the environment. You could find them anywhere. Um, they're a category of chemicals used since the 1940s to repel oil and water and resist heat, which makes them useful in everyday products. So, you probably are thinking, are they safe? Fortunately, but unfortunately, PFAs are used at low levels to control the toxicity of the products that it is used in, but even then at low levels, it could still be toxic, which poses a significant risk to our health. And if you're ever wondering why they're called forever chemicals, it's because they're nearly indestructible. Unfortunately, they are almost impossible to avoid. They're so impossible to avoid that you can find them in your kitchen, in your closet, in your household, in your bathroom, basically anywhere. And for example, you can find them in your nonstick cookingware, or your clothes, or the foam that comes out of the fire extinguisher, and even our personal care products, which you can find these chemicals in the bottle itself and in the product itself. Well, you're probably wondering how PFAs relate to the topic of dimensions of aging. Well, basically, PFAs have a negative association with the biological aging for all groups, whether you're young or old. You've been exposed to these forever chemicals since you were born up until your last breath, which can then negatively predict some measures of biological aging. Research suggests that brain bioaccumulation of these chemicals may increase the risk of developing neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's or Parkinson's, as well as contributing to associated cognitive impairment and motor deficits. So, how did I come to this conclusion? Let me explain. So, I've done my research, and what I've found is that exposure to these compounds is not just problematic for adults, as exposure occurs throughout life, like I mentioned before. PFAs have been quantified in breast milk, amniotic fluid, and fetal tissue, including the liver, lung, heart, and brain, umbilical cord blood, and placenta, which indicates that infants are being exposed from the very beginning of life. Not only does it affect all those things that I've mentioned before, but it also affects the blood-brain barrier. It's been hypothesized that the incorporation of these chemicals into the cell membrane due to their surfactant nature may disrupt membrane integrity to allow entry into the brain. Additionally, damage to the endothelial cells and astrocytes of the blood-brain barrier has been demonstrated in PFOS-treated mice, which would also increase permeability of the blood-brain barrier, making the brain susceptible not only to PFAs, but also to other neurotoxins. And since the blood-brain barrier can be affected, human health also can be of concern because most of the workers conducted on this research found that PFAs were professionally exposed groups and included increased levels of uric acid and cholesterol among workers engaged in PFOA production plants. It also increased the risk for liver and kidney cancer and leukemia among workers employed in the production. and also excess of mortality and or incidence of prostate, bladder, or pancreatic cancer, or cerebral vascular diseases, diabetes, and chronic renal diseases, among other exposed workers. Here's a not so fun fact of the day. Studies have found PFAS in the blood of virtually all of Americans. So, is this all fake news? I've given my research or given the information that I've found based off of my research. In my opinion, this is definitely not fake news, as thousands of people have been severely affected, if not mildly affected, by the forever chemicals. It's basically inevitable to come across, and that's why we should be more careful when purchasing and consuming certain things. And these are the sources that I've used. And thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much, and have a good night.